When you hear this sound, that's your signal to turn the page. Now, let's begin our story. Tele-Story presents Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids in The Sinister Stranger. Today was a special day for Fat Albert and the gang. Officer Gomez was in class explaining how the boys could protect themselves from strangers. And after his talk, he was going to take everyone's fingerprints.
This is a new idea your parents want the police department to try, so we can identify you in case you are hurt or become the victim of a child stealing. But let's see what you can do to avoid being a victim in the first place. If someone tries to grab you, scream for help as loud as you can. Go on and try.
Hey, man, he's after me, man.
It wasn't every day that the gang could scream in class, so they made the most of it until Officer Gomez signaled for them to stop.
It's also a good idea to pair with a friend rather than walk alone. And now, a word about dressing right.
Officer Gomez saw that Hank, one of Fat Albert's friends, was wearing a T-shirt with his name on it. Hank was also falling asleep in class.
T-shirts with your name on them are nice to wear, but they'll help a criminal fool you into thinking he knows who you are. Isn't that right? Wake up, Hank.
What? Hey, how'd you know my name? The teacher, Miss Wooker, looked sternly at Hank.
Next time, Hank, see that you do your sleeping at home.
When Officer Gomez was finished, everyone lined up to get their fingerprints taken. The gang thought it was great, just like the gangster movies. After class, the gang met at the schoolyard to play basketball. The game was already in progress when Fat Albert showed up.
Hey, what a strange ball to play. With...
It's Dumb Donald's lunch.
Last night I baked my favorite dessert, bubblegum pie. But when I saw the shape of this bag this morning, I was too afraid to open it.
It's getting a little late to be hanging out here. Let's finish the game tomorrow.
I'll see you guys.
Wait a minute, Russell. You heard what Officer Gomez said about going home alone when it gets dark? Wait for Bill.
Okay.
While Russell waited for Bill, Hank started home by himself.
You guys are more scared than turkeys in November.
Fat Albert invited Bill and Russell to his house for dinner that night. Fat Albert's mom wanted to hear all about Officer Gomez's visit.
How'd the fingerprinting go today, boys?
Officer Gomez had a lot of interesting things to say.
Yeah, like using a secret word that only your mom and dad and family know.
That way, if someone tries to give Russell or me a ride, we'll only go with the guy if he knows the special word.
That's a good idea. Let's think up a word for Albert after dinner.
The next day, Russell was hurrying to meet the gang at the junkyard.
Mom would pick today to make me clean my room just because she couldn't see the floor. Now I'll be too late to...
Because he wasn't looking where he was going, Russell bumped into a stranger on the sidewalk.
Hello, son. My name's Jack. I'm an old friend of your mother's. She sent me to pick you up so we could spend the afternoon together.
Then what's the code word?
Code word? There's no time to be playing secret agent. Be a good boy and get in the car.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Jack lunged at Russell, but Russell ducked out of reach and bolted down the street, yelling at the top of his lungs. Russell didn't stop until he reached the junkyard where the gang was playing.
Russell, what's the matter?
A man tried to grab me. It was awful.
Listen up, fellas. We gotta do something about this.
Yeah, this dude could still be around.
Unfortunately, Weird Harold was right. Jack was still around, and he spotted Hank wearing his name T-shirt and playing with a basketball.
You better hurry, Hank.
You know my name!
Sure, I've been sent by your mother to pick you up.
My mother? Is something wrong? Fat Albert and the gang were on their way to tell their parents about Russell's encounter with Jack when Russell saw the Sinister Stranger.
Wait a minute, you guys. There's a guy who tried to take me.
Who's that with him?
It looks like Hank.
Hey, come back, huh?
But Hank didn't hear his friend's warning, and before he knew it, Jack pushed him into the car and drove off. Hank was trapped. Bill watched to see where Jack's car went.
Hey, that's Old Town he's driving to. Russell, you saw the guy up close, so you phone the police and give them his description and tell them where he's headed. Bucky, you run over to Hank's house and tell his parents. The rest of you guys, follow me. We've got to find that car.
Russell found Officer Gomez and told him what happened to Hank.
I'm glad you remembered the license plate number of the car, Russell. You're very observant.
Anything else I can do?
You've done just fine. Now leave it to us.
The gang searched throughout Old Town as hard as they could for their kidnapped friend. Fat Albert pointed in alarm.
Hey, there's the car.
There's nobody in it.
Suddenly, Weird Harold saw Jack peeking out from behind an alley, holding Hank tightly in his arms.
There he is.
Fat Albert and the gang raced after Jack and Hank, but the kidnapper managed to stay ahead of them. He disappeared into an abandoned theater. The gang raced past the stage door, never hearing Hank's cries for help. Alone with Jack in the theater, Hank was more frightened than he had ever been in his whole life.
Let me go!
Not until I'm finished with you, Sonny.
When Jack reached out to grab him, Hank bit him on the hand and ran deeper into the theater. Finding a ladder, Hank climbed quickly up to the catwalk, but Jack saw him.
You might as well come down and save yourself a lot of trouble.
Hank crawled away from Jack, who started up after him. Reaching the end of the catwalk, Hank hid behind a pile of ropes and lights. Jack called to his victim.
You don't have to be afraid of me. Did you hear me?
Hank backed into a light and sent it crashing to the floor below. Fat Albert and the gang turned when they heard the noise.
I heard a crash.
Yeah, come from inside that old theater.
The police.
Weird Harold, Dumb Donald, let's go lead them over here.
Fat Albert turned to Bill, Rudy, and Mushmouth.
You guys stay in guard until they return.
Bill watched his friends go for the police when he heard Hank.
Help! Help!
I'm going in.
You be heard what Father Albert said. Wait for the police.
There's no time for that. Hank needs us now.
Bill dashed into the theater. His friends were reluctant, but quickly followed him. Rudy heard Hank crying for help and spotted him on the dangerous catwalk above.
There he is!
Bill, Rudy, and Mushmouth climbed up the catwalk while Jack inched closer to Hank.
I got you now.
The boys found a huge drum and rolled it swiftly toward Jack.
How about a little drum roll, turkey?
The rolling drum hit Jack and knocked him over. Hank ran quickly to his rescuers as Mushmouth called out to everyone.
Let's get it out of here.
I'll teach you to interfere with me.
Jack chased the gang into a corner of the stage and forced them to climb a rope to the top of the set. When Jack found he couldn't climb it too, he got a mallet and began to knock the set down. Just as the set was about to crash, bringing the gang down with it, Officer Gomez and his partner burst into the theater and grabbed Jack.
You're under arrest.
Jack was quickly handcuffed while Officer Gomez rolled a scaffold over to the teetering set.
Hang on, kids.
Officer Gomez held the set steady so the gang could climb down. The boys reached safety just as the set crashed. Officer Gomez approached Hank.
Are you all right, Hank?
I think so.
Good. Then I think we can take you home.
Hank was very lucky to have friends like the gang and Officer Gomez. Next time, he'll be a lot more careful when he's approached by a stranger. Any stranger. You be careful, too.
everything worked out all right. But do you know how many kids wind up missing each year? Over 1 million. That's a lot. But you don't have to be one of them if you're careful. Be careful of strangers, very careful. Even if they seem to be your friend. They may be, but it's better to be safe than sorry.